Right, we've escaped. We've got the Defender out of captivity. We've come out to the countryside just for a short drive. Right, we've had an interesting couple of weeks and I need to do a bit of a sort of brain dump vlog about it. So here we go, let's go. And I've had to write notes this time, which is not normally like me. I normally just ad lib it, don't I? Right, so we've had a tricky couple of weeks. We launched a Range Rover Sport rear light bar, which went across the back of a Sport and powered up and went zoop, and then when you powered down, went zoop. It's a popular product. We did limit initial sales just in case there was a problem with it, and there was a problem with it. Some of them, about half of them, had a water leak issue, which stopped the lights working, and we hadn't done enough testing on that, and I feel bad about that, and we've written to everyone and refunded everybody who bought those first batch, and now we're working on a solution to sealing the water and getting that sorted, and we'll keep you updated on that, those of you that bought that, and we will have a solution to that soon. And obviously we're working with the factory to improve their pressure testing of the product. So things do go wrong, and hopefully we've supported everyone. They've had all their money back, they can keep the item, and we'll try and get it working for them. And it got me on to thinking about innovation and early adopters. So when you innovate a new product, now the new product might be a car like a Defender or a mobile phone or a light bar or whatever it is. Every innovator, it's all very well having these great ideas and innovating stuff, but if you haven't got early adopters that are prepared to buy these products when you first launch them, now they know it's risky, they know buying the first Defender, you know it might have issues, and you know all the testing they do on them, there are still going to be occurrences where random events happen that they haven't predicted or tested, and these things happen. And it's quite an important relationship between innovators and early adopters. And I personally feel if people adopt one of our new innovations, we should look after them. They should be a special class of customer, because they know what they're doing is risky, but they're still prepared to trust. And I also think there's also a lot to learn, because those early adopters will give you the feedback. They will give you all the problems. They will give you the things that you've never thought of. And so it's a really precious relationship, and it is a relationship that's fraught with problems. It can be a stressful relationship because there will be issues. But so I think as a innovator and as a company that supplies product, we need to look after early adopters, and hopefully on this occasion we've done that. And that got me onto thinking about how car makers, when they launch new models, how they work with early adopters, because they need them out there. They need them to, whether it's Tesla, they need, if no one bought the Teslas, if no one was prepared to take the risk of buying the first generation Tesla, there would be no second generation Tesla. So it's really important. So I just wanted to say a little bit about that. One other thing that I think early adopters is they form a bond between each other. All the early adopters, they all have views on the product, but they all seem to have a similar mindset, be it being the first generation Apple owners, the first generation Tesla owners, and there's quite a bond that forms between the community. And one thing I've really enjoyed about owning a Defender is the bond we've had, and it seems to be a certain type of person as well, or a lot of a certain types of people buy in the Defender. They're innovators, they're business owners, they're engineering minded, they're technical, they're not really mainstream. And a lot of us seem to have got together on various forums or through YouTube, and we're communicating with each other. And we've got people like Tim, who's designing the wireless charger and tablet holders, and he's a Defender owner, and we're selling his products. And so there's a really nice sort of bond that we've it's a nice community to be part of, and I think that goes with Defender. I think that's part of Defender. It always seems to draw people from different backgrounds, not really mainstream, together, attracted. I mean, everyone says, oh, Defenders, they're farmers, but I think farmers fall into that category of people that are just slightly different outlook on life. And so anyway, we've all joined together around the Defender, which is cool. It's a cool part of owning a Defender, that. Right, so everyone wants to know what is happening with the weight sensors on my Defender, and I too, to a degree. So I need to give a bit of background on this. So when we got the car, there was a problem with it initially, and it went to the dealership, and they diagnosed the problem using the computer system, and it told them to do one thing, and the car was new and it was in lockdown. And anyway, I drove it home and it broke down again, and I don't want to open the whole situation, but it's important to understand the background. And then obviously I went under the bonnet and found the problem with the issue, and I think that's created some stress, some tension between me and my local dealer, because I don't think they look too good out of it, and I don't really blame them for it. The root cause was not their fault, but obviously every time I have a problem and they watch YouTube and they know that I take the car apart, and I think they get more and more apprehensive and worried about me bringing it in. And I think this Wade sensor was one of those occurrences where they're like, well, what have you done now, Simon? What have you broken? Is it your fault? And it's quite interesting. So when you take a car in warranty into a dealership, obviously if I've broken things, I can't expect, if I've broken the backlight or smashed something or ripped something or cut some wiring, I can't expect the dealer to fix my mistakes at their cost. So the situation becomes a little bit interesting, because I don't think I've done anything to break the Wade sensors, although I don't know. The doors on the other side were replaced by a Land Rover approved body shop. Did they snag some wiring or something? We still don't know what's wrong. But they had the car for 2.5 weeks at the dealership, and they couldn't ascertain in that time what was wrong, but they wanted to keep it. But the trouble was, the bill was mounting up, and they were sort of insinuating, well, if it's something you've done, you've got a big bill coming your way. And I said, well, you've had it 2.5 weeks now. I'm getting really worried now. You can't find anything. Well, I need the car. I do need the car. We had to fit the side steps. We were halfway fitted the side steps. We got the dash cam to try and all that stuff. So the situation is, I took the car back after 2.5 weeks. So it got a little bit interesting, because as you know, we've been mounting a couple of different dash cams in the Defender, and looking at the different sort of views you can get, and whether we could even use them instead of GoPros. But it turned out, as we were swapping dash cams around and stuff, that the dash cams had recorded some of the stuff that happened at the dealership. Now, I'm not going to go into the details of any of it, but some of it concerned me. So we're working through that with the dealership, and hopefully we can try and I need to get the Land Rover fixed. And Land Rover have actually stepped in as well. Mr. Skywalker's back on the scene, and he is going to try and help us at least understand the fault. But I do feel for the technicians who are trying to diagnose the problem, because the Wade sensor system is basically very simple. There's just 2 parking sensors on the underside of the mirror, and they're looking down as if you've reversed against the wall, and they're trying to ascertain how close the wall is. But in this case, it's a wall of water coming up. But there's some interesting things, and I'll put the wiring diagrams on the screen now. But what you'll notice is that I would expect it to be like this first wiring diagram I put up, with the left Wade sensor going into a terminal on the near field sensing module, and we'll take a look at it in a minute, and the right Wade sensor going into the right sensor. But it seems somehow the 2 signals join together, which makes diagnosing the problem really hard, because I would have joined them independently, and then you could have, but it looks like they're trying to average the heights. But by doing it that way, they can't tell which is left and which is right. So I think I'm interested in the design. I'd like to understand from someone at Land Rover why you would converge the left and right sensor into one, and then feed it into the near field sensing module. Or I might have misread the wiring diagrams. But the fault codes on the system, the dealer system, don't seem to show a clear defect. When the screen powers up, sometimes, and not every time, again, it's annoying, it says Wade sensors blocked. So there's clearly a problem. And from the analysis, the dealers seem to say the 12-volt power supply that goes to both Wade sensors is not there. Now, we're not sure if it's a short, or whether the actual module's not generating the 12 volts, or whether the module's not being told to generate the 12 volts. And that, my mind wanders. And I wonder how, as we look to electrification of cars, one thing Tesla are really good at is not powering up things you don't need to power up until you need them. Now, I'm not sure on these Wade sensors whether they're there powered up all the time, which would be wasteful. I'm sure they take a minimal current, but I think one thing car makers are going to have to look at is really optimizing power consumption. So I'm not even sure whether these weight sensors, and when we get them working again, one thing I want to look at is, are they on all the time? They just give you the reading when you ask for the reading. Do they only power up when you do that crazy acknowledgement thing that, yes, I know driving through water is risky and I might get wet, acknowledge? I mean, does it only when you've acknowledged does it turn them on? So I don't think we really even understand the fault finding system, and part of that is due to this pandemic, and I know the mechanics at the dealerships haven't had the training that they would normally have on the vehicle. So it's an interesting one that we're going to go through now. Hopefully we will get some more diagnostics done, and I think Land Rover are going to support me, even if it is my fault or not, and I will have to put the hat of shame on again and say, all right, but as yet I'm not aware of what I could have done to do that. And surely with 2.5 weeks, Land Rover should have been able to find the problem, because if we make complex vehicles, which is good, we like complicated, don't we, George? George is filming today, because we can do all sorts of trick stuff and go off-road. And we've just been off-roading this today, and we've just been through some mad ruts, and we've been listening to Justin Bieber, George's choice, not mine, and we've had the aircon on, and it's just been just brilliant, and we couldn't do that without technology. So there we go. So that's where we are on the Wade sensors. In fact, George, let's just go and have a look at the Wade sensor near field sensing module, shall we? Right, George will show you now. If you look in there, so normally you've got your carpet and everything, but that is the near field sensing module here. Now, this is interesting as well. These connections here are actually your cameras coming in, and we will talk about that a bit in a minute. And this is all the wires from all your parking sensors and your Wade sensors. And this module here, which should be bolted in nicely, is the near field sensing module. And I believe Land Rover have replaced that, and it didn't fix the fault. I think Land Rover had some concerns about the wiring here, or at least the dealer did. But I can assure you, and Land Rover about it, that I have not. They thought I'd put all this insulating tape on, and I can assure you I have not touched any of this wiring. I've not been under this carpet other than to try and have a look at this myself now, to try and understand what the problem could be. Right, well, we'll digress. This is going to be a randomest video ever. So we have fitted the Land Rover camera, and you can see the video for that. I posted it up yesterday, and here it says here, turns out it's a bit annoying off-road, doesn't it, George?
Yeah.
Every time you go over a bump, it thinks you've had a crash, and it goes into some sort of mode. What does it say?
It beeps.
It beep beep goes like, and it's like you had an accident, and it does some funky recording and some lights flashing. In the end, we had to turn it off. So that might be one thing, Landry. But people are saying, Simon, that camera, it looks neat, it does the job. You know, there's some little niggles, we can pick holes in it. As us early adopters do like to sort of feedback. That's the deal. We buy the first ones, we give, and we can be a bit moany. But we're early adopters, right? So you need us, so you have to listen to us. Right, but this camera is actually fitted with 4 cameras. We've got 2 in the mirrors, we've got 1 at the back, 1 at the front, and we've also got an additional camera at the front. We've actually got the camera at the front here in the white area that does our automatic braking and our radar. I think it works in conjunction with the radar. Oh, George, better not get my radar dirty. Look at that, and keep my radar clean. So, and people are saying, well, as there's all the cameras are on the car, why do we need to buy a dash cam? Can't we just sort of tap into those, like they do on the Tesla? So that's another thing we have to debate. And another thing people have said is, when I'm doing the dash cam fitting, we've got the power supply pre-wired for the illuminated sill steps, but surely it would have been more practical on Defender to have an extra power supply on the rear door for your dash cam, or a wire for a rear mounted dash cam, rather than illuminated tread plates. Right, let me go and get my notes again and sit down. So all in all, it's been an interesting couple of weeks, and I have found it a little stressful. Don't have any sympathy for me, it's all self-imposed. But one thing I have had and appreciate is everybody's support. When things are getting on top of you, you think, no. I think it is important. I've had a lot of you guys don't know all the nonsense that's going on, but just every video we post up, love the video, great work. It's good to have Mr. Skywalker back on the scene, and the general Defender community, as I was referring to it earlier. I do feel part of a community with this car, and all the regular people that contribute on the videos, Mr. Verdi and his emojis. We love Mr. Verdi, don't we? Ian's given me a lot of support. He says, Simon, I know you're having a bad week, because I was emailing him offline, and he said, but if you don't have a bad week, you don't know when you're having a good week. So, and I kind of thought, yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, we've got Nick, who keeps sending us little goodies, non-stick Nick. All you guys, I do appreciate all you guys. Richard, Tim, who keeps designing stuff, which is really cool. And also, you know, the staff have been really good. They could see I was getting a bit upset with everything, a bit frustrated with the weight sensors and the lights not working. And Tyler's been there, and we've had a good time back in the workshop. I think for me, just getting back in the workshop and doing stuff, and I think that's why I find it, sadly, I think that's why I found it hard to cope with not having the car there, and this sort of stress mounting with this potential, is it your fault, is it not, Bill there. And I understand that, and I accept that was the case, but not having a car just to sort of bury into. But there we go, that's what. Right, what are we going to do next? We have just got an activity wristband, and we're going to try and do a retrofit of an activity wristband. All I know is I've asked Land Rover, is it technically possible? And I've asked them through another dealership, is it possible? And they've said, yeah, if you buy the wristband and this module, and there's two different modules, one's for cars with keyless entry. Now my car doesn't have keyless entry. I've got keyless start, but I do need the remote key fob to get into the car. I haven't got that one where you just touch the door handle. So I'm going to start looking at that. We're still trying to work on some other bits and pieces. We're going to just try and do some more getting out a bit, obviously we're still in lockdown here, so we've done this as part of our work. We've only come 10 miles or so from home. Important, everyone, get vaccinated, stay safe, and we'll catch you next time.